still to this day. And so, now, what day do you get circumcised? The 8th day, correct? Because the K factor of your body in clotting is at 110% on the 8th day, not the 7th day, and not the 9th day. On the 9th day, it's at 100%. On the 8th day, it's at 110%, right? So you can snip, 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 and you don't bleed to death and die, right? We have all different things because we have technology and everything. But so Jesus is saying, what are the chances, how many babies are circumcised on the Sabbath, right? He's like, you guys think you can, which law do you want to break here? You want to break Moses' law, or do you want to break, kind of God's law? Which one do you want to break? You can't circumcise on the 8th. Well, now that's breaking the law, but you can't work on the Sabbath. You see where he gets them? So no one thinks like Jesus. Jesus is just getting them, So he's saying, you get mad at me because I heal a whole person. Yeah.
So what you're saying is he's sort of saying, like, he's sort of just like poking at them for saying it's okay to do that on the Sabbath, but it's not okay for him to heal someone on the Sabbath?
He's saying you've taken the law too far.
Okay.
There's 39 laws to keep the Sabbath law.
So there's one.
Think about that. Someone comes up to you and you're in the school of Harvard Pharisaism, and you have 39 new laws so you don't break the one law that God gave you. 39 new ones, right? What's that?
Human laws.
Yeah, human perspectives. And it's the same thing, if you guys, we can stop whenever you want, but it's the same thing when Adam and Eve get in the garden and God says, Adam, don't eat of the tree, right? Satan comes along and says, hey, what did God really say? And I always start to wonder, did Adam and Eve have a powwow sitting around a campfire one day, and they're like, Eve, I know you're kind of new on the scene, I was kind of here first, you popped out on the side, there you go. But I need to lay down the rules. And the rules are, God said, do not eat, do not touch. Because I know you, right? This is what Adam's saying. He's like, woman, you're going to blow it. You're going to look at this tree, and you're going to think you can go over and just kind of look at it. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to ponder this thing, maybe even touch it. He goes, so this is my man perspective. Adam's like, no, listen, we're not going to eat it. We're not going to touch it. So somehow Eve, in her innocence, a little snaky comes up. What did God really say? And she goes, well, God said, do not eat, do not touch. What did God say? Right? So now God gives us one law, and we as men, we're not happy with that. That's too easy. Let's get two, because certainly if we're not touching it, we can't be eating it. How the heck are you going to eat it if you can't touch it? Right? And then it's all of a sudden, well, you get a couple of years down the road, and it's like, by the time Moses comes around, it's like, well, you have to be behind the 6-foot fence that we built. And therefore, if we're behind the 6-foot fence, we certainly can't touch it, then of course we can't eat it. And you go thousands of years down the road, and then Jesus pops on the scene, and you're like, who is this guy? I can't even see him. If Jesus were the tree, we wouldn't even know what the tree looks like. Does that make sense? Because we're so far down the road in our own rules, we don't see the Messiah anymore. Because we made our own Jesus. He no longer looks like him anymore. Because we're this, and this. And Jesus is saying, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember. So that's what we do. So if a man receives circumcision on the Sabbath, that the law of Moses may not be broken, are you angry with me because I made the entire man well on the Sabbath? Do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment. So Jesus obviously had no comeliness to him. He was not special. He was not good looking. He wasn't the Sweet Pickles driver that we see on our pictures today with the flowing blonde hair and blue eyes. He was very unsuspecting, probably with a touch of Jew. He was a Jew. Everybody that looked around, he was Jewish. He probably would have had the curly, thing and then thing, because he was a rabbi. I mean, the woman noticed him. You're a Jew. He would have probably had Jewishness about him, right? Everybody cool with that? Jesus was not special, right? He's saying, listen, do not judge according to the appearance. I don't look like your conquering king. I'm certainly not going to come through the king's gate. This is not the way I roll. I'm not going to come on some white horse. He says, but judge with righteous judgment. Therefore, some of the people of Jerusalem were saying, is this not the man whom they are seeking to kill? And look, he is speaking publicly, and they are saying nothing to him. The rulers do not really know that this is the Christ, do they? Those are huge statements. So Jesus is now being painted by some as he's probably Messiah because none of the leaders are taking him off the stage. However, we know where this man is from. But whenever the Christ may come, no one knows where he is from. Jesus therefore cried out in the temple. So, exclamation point here, teaching and saying, you both know me and know where I am from, and I have not come of myself, but he who sent me is true, whom you do not know. I know him because I am from him, and he sent me. So he's saying, listen, you don't know God, you don't understand him, and that's who sent me. Right? And it's interesting because they say we won't know where he's from, but that's not the true answer. Obviously, we will know where he's from. But when you're sitting in Nazareth, Hillbillyville, right, up in the Galilee, eating tilapia, fried with collard greens, that's not the way the Messiah is going to roll. He's going to roll from Bethlehem, where King David's from, right, where royalty comes. And, you're no small place, Bethlehem. From you, a light will be, cast, or whatever, however that prophecy goes. So they were seeking, therefore, to seize him, and no man laid his hands on him, because his hour had not yet come. But many of the multitude believed in him, and they were saying, when the Christ shall come, he will not perform more signs than those which this man has, will he? So Jesus is pulling it all off. The Pharisees heard the multitude muttering these things about him, and the chief priests and the Pharisees sent officers to seize him. Were these Roman officers, or were they part of their own? Huh? I would assume they're Jewish, because the Romans ain't going to take this crap. They're just thinking, are you kidding me? This is your problem, right? We make fun of you, right?
On top of that, why would they take orders from the Jewish anyway?
Exactly. And I just had never noticed. I always assume, I think Roman officers when I think officers. But somehow the boys came up, and I love this because Jesus is so the bomb, right? He said, Jesus therefore said, for a little while longer, and I am with you. Then I will go to him who sent me. You shall seek me, and you shall not find me. And where I am, you cannot come. The Jews therefore said to one another, where does this man intend to go that we will not find him? He is not intending to go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks, is he? That's an interesting concept, because who gets in a fight at the first church basically on opening day? Hellenistic Jews and the real Jews, right? You're kind of the Greek Jews and we're kind of the real Jews, and they start fighting over who's not serving the widows and the orphans and all these things, right? That's opening day church, right? So it's interesting. You can see this thread of contention right here with Jesus as he's walking the planet. So he says, what is the statement that he said? You will seek me and will not find me, and where I am, you cannot come. Now on the last day, the great day of the feast, Jesus stood and cried out, saying, if any man is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. He who believes in me, as the scriptures said, from his innermost being shall flow rivers of living water. But this he spoke of the Spirit, when those who believed in him were to receive, whom those who believed in him were to receive, for the Spirit was not yet given, because Jesus was not yet glorified. So I think it's interesting here that Jesus, again, puts himself in the accountability factor. He says, he who believes in me, as the scripture said, right? This is your truth. It's not how I say it. It's not how you've heard it from somebody else, even though they may be right. It's as the scriptures say. Jesus is as the scriptures say. And if you believe in him, right, from your innermost being shall flow rivers of water, right? And he's talking about the Spirit. So some of the multitude, therefore, when they heard these words, were saying, this certainly is the prophet, right? This is the big dog. Others were saying, this is the Christ. Still others were saying, surely the Christ is not going to come from Galilee, is he? Certainly not. He is not. Has not the scriptures said that the Christ comes from the offspring of David and from Bethlehem, the village where David was? So there arose a division in the multitude because of him, and some of them wanted to seize him, but no one laid hands on him. So why did there arise a division?
They're arguing about where it came from.
Arguing about where he came from, right? And so because we're here, and this is the way we've learned it, right? There's no possible way this is true, so I'm not going to look any further. I'm not going to hear things with all openness of mind and then search the scriptures to see if they be true. Jesus